Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranams. Okay, we'll start with the Kirtan and then I think people will join. Okay. Hare Krishna to Krishnamurti Prabhu. Jayo Radha Madhava Jayo Kunja Bihari
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी।
Jayo Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namacharya Padaya Nitai Kripa Pradayine Gaurakata Damadaya Nagara Gramatarine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine Yo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda Jayo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopal Jaya Jaya Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jayo Jayo Govinda 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 Gopala 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Hare Jayo Jagannatha Jayo Baladeva Jayo Subhadramahi Jayo Sudarshana Jayo Narsimhadev Jayo Narsimhadev Jayo Narsimhadev Jayo Narsimhadev Jayo Lakshmi Narasimha Jayo Lakshmi Narasimha Jayo Lakshmi Narasimha Jayo Anandade Jayo Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jayo Panchatattva Jayo Panchatattva Jayo Jaya Panchatattva Jayo Jayo Prabhupada 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 Jayo Jayo Prabhupada Jayo Jayo Gurudev 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 Jayo Jayo Gurudev Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol नाम संकीर्तन की जय नाम संकीर्तन महायज्ञ की जय श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय गुरुदेव की जय टैगोर सीतानाथ परमानंदे हरि हरि बोल
हरि हरि बोल
Hare Krishna to all the devotees. I hope you are able to hear
Hare
my
Krishna.
voice. Audio video is okay.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah, thank you so much. So today we'll continue with our session on the Brahma Samhita. So we are actually now going to look at verse number 43, right? Yeah, verse 43. So I'll just read the verse and then maybe a couple of you can recite afterwards, after I have read it once, and then we will take it forward like that. Okay? Okay. गोलोकनाम्नि निजधाम्नि तले च तस्य देवी महेश हरिधाम सुतेषु तेषु ते ते प्रभाव निचय विहिताश्च येन गोविन्दमादि पुरुषं तमहं भजामि. Just do it once more. गोलोकनाम्नि निजधाम्नि तले च तस्य देवी महेश हरिधाम सुतेषु तेषु ते ते प्रभाव निचय विहिताश्च येन गोविन्दमादि पुरुषं तमहं भजामि. Hare Krishna. Yes, Rohini Mata, you can repeat.
Pranam Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
गोलोकनाम्नि निजधाम्नि तले च तस्य देवी महेश हरिधाम सुतेषु तेषु ते ते प्रभाव निचया विहिताश्च येन गोविन्दमादि पुरुषं तमहं भजामि. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. Prabhu, Krishnamurti Prabhu, you can try. After that, Shobha Mata can do.
Okay. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
गोलोकनाम्नि निजधाम्नि तले च तस्या देवी महेश हरिधाम सुतेषु तेषु ते ते प्रभाव निचया विहिताश्च येन गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि. हरे कृष्ण प्रभुजी.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Shobha Mata, you can read.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Is the screen shloka not visible in the screen?
Okay.
Sorry Prabhuji. 43, right?
Yeah, 43.
I'll open.
Yeah, even I need to do the same, but if you can do it, then good. I'll just check.
गोलोकनाम्नि निजधाम्नि तले च तस्य देवी महेश हरिधाम सुतेषु तेषु ते ते प्रभाव निचय विहिताश्च येन Govindamadipurusham tamaham bhajami. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji, Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Mataji. Dandavat Pranam to you. So actually, I should have got the shloka up. Thanks for reminding me. It slipped out of my mind. Just trying to get that. Hare Krishna. So is it coming up now? Can you all see?
No, Prabhuji.
Okay, now it should be visible.
Yes, Hare Krishna. Yes.
Okay. So thank you, Shobha Mataji, for reminding me. Actually, it slipped out of my mind.
Hare
Apologies. Sorry about that. So today's words, Golokanamni nijadhamni tale chatasya Devi Mahesha Haridama Suteshu Teshu Tete Prabhava Nichaya Vihitashyena Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. We'll try to see the synonyms. Golokanamni, in the planet known as Goloka Vrindavana. Nijadhamni, the personal abode of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Tale, in the part underneath. Cha, also. Tasya, of that. Devi, of the goddess Durga. Mahesha, of Lord Shiva. Hari, of Narayana. Dhamasu, in the planets. Teshu Teshu, in each of them. Tete, those respective. Prabhava Nichayaha, opulences. Vihitaha, established. Cha, also. Ena, by whom. Govindam, that's Govinda. Adi Purusham, the original person. Tam, him. Aham, I. Bhajami, worship. The word to word. Now the translation is like this. Lowest of all is located Devi Dhama. That's the mundane world. Next, above it is Mahesha Dham, abode of Mahesha. Above Mahesha Dham is placed Hari Dham, abode of Hari. And above them all is located Krishna's own realm named Goloka. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, who has allotted their respective authorities to the rulers of those graded realms. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Nitinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschayata Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivas Adi Gauravata Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, Hare Krishna to once again to all the devotees and to the people who just joined. So I'm seeing Pramila Mata's hand up. I mean, is it for reading or you want to say something?
For reading, Prabhuji.
Which one? You want to read the shloka?
Anything, whatever you say.
Okay. You can read the translation, Mata. Is that okay?
Yes, 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 Prabhuji.
Please go
Hare
ahead.
Krishna, Dandavat Pranam, Prabhuji.
Dandavat pranam to you.
Translation: lowest of all is located Devi Dhama, mundane world. Next above it is Mahesha Dhama, abode of Mahesha. Above Mahesha Dhama is placed Hari Dhama, abode of Hari, and above them all is located Krishna's own realm named Goloka. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, who has allotted their respective authorities to the rulers of those graded realms. Thank you, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Okay, so Brahma Samhita, we all know the prayers by Lord Brahma. So here, one particular aspect that is being mentioned in the purport is that, of course, these are all graded realms. So what is graded? That means one above the other. So something is above, something is below. So there is some sort of a hierarchy kind of a thing. So which means that something is above and something else. And in relation to each other, there is some gradations that are there. And based on the gradations, there are certain opulences, there are certain potencies that exist in all of these creations. So the creation includes the spiritual world as well as the material world. And this is a view that Lord Brahma is having. And Brahma actually is looking up to the higher position of Goloka. And he is speaking of the other realms in the point of view of his own realm. That means wherever he is standing in the material world, because we know that he is the one who created the material world. He came into the material world to create it. So he is standing there, and then he is having a view of all these other realms that is there, and he is describing them. So that is one of the points that we will have to remember. And in that, how is Lord Brahma now talking about what? The first in the order is this mundane world called as Devi Dham. So now, what does this Devi Dham consist of? It consists of the 14 worlds. So the 14 worlds are the 7 planetary systems higher, and then the 7 below, and then Dharti, that is our material world, where we are staying, that's in the middle. So like this, we have seen. And if you recall, we have seen this even in the Srimad Bhagavatam, when we spoke of the creation. So we are seeing a similar arrangement. And we also saw in detail how the Lord expanded and then he goes into each of these worlds. Now here there is a high-level overview of all the worlds together. This is a, what do you call that? High-level view. That means like a view from the distance. So here Lord Brahma is able to see the various locations or positions of the various worlds, and then he is describing them. So today we will look at what is the description of Devi Dham. What does that encompass, or what does it hold? And then what is the Dham that is above Devi Dham? And then from there, then what is the significance of that? And then we will also see what is the significance of other Vaikuntha planets all the way up to Goloka. So now there are how many worlds or realms or how many dhams we are seeing? Devi, Mahesha, Hari, and then Goloka. So there are 4 graded gradations that are being described here. So Devi Dham, like we discussed, I just said now, it is about the material world, and it is about the 7 planetary systems that are there, which we are aware of. Above that is located the Shiva Dham or Mahesh Dham. So this Mahesh Dham or Shiva Dham is above Devi Dham. And then there is a certain speciality of this particular Shiva Dham. So, okay, I'll do one thing. I'll just read this whole purport once, and then we will talk. So, what does it say? Is located Shiva Dham, one portion of which is called as Mahakal Dham, is enveloped in darkness. Then, interpenetrating this portion of Shiva Dham, there shines the Sada Shiva Loka, full of great light. Above the same appears Hari Dham, or the transcendental Vaikuntha Lokas. The potency of Devi Dham in the form of the extension of Maya and that of Shiva Loka, consisting of time, space, and matter, are the potency of the separated particles pervaded by the penumbral reflection of the subjective portion of the divinity. But Haridam is ever resplendent with transcendental majesty, and the great splendor of all sweetness predominates over all other majesties in Goloka. Supreme Lord Govinda, by his own direct and indirect power, has constituted those respective potencies of those realms. Hare Krishna. And I'm also, so generally after the purport, then seeking the blessings and the mercy of all the devotees who are here, so that we'll be able to do some justice to this wonderful verse. And there is a lot of confusion with respect to the location of the worlds. So there is there is great clarity that Brahma is giving on this particular topic, so which we will try to understand. So that's what we'll be doing for today. Now, like I said, there is Devi Dham, and then above that is Shiva Dham or Mahesha Dham. So Devi Maheshu, what does it say? Devi Mahesha Hari Dhamasu Teshu Teshu. So we have Devi, and then Mahesha Dham, Devi Dham, and Hari Dham. So all these Dhams are there. Teshu Teshu. So what does Teshu Teshu means? In each of them. So they are all there. I mean, there are many ways in which the Supreme Personality of Godhead has pervaded into each of them. So that is what is being mentioned here. And that is what the translation also says. So now, Devi Dham we saw was the 7 planetary systems. Then above that is Mahesh Dham. There is one interesting aspect of Mahesh Dham. See, Mahesh Dham is the abode of Lord Shiva. And here, actually, there is 2 bifurcations to this Mahesh Dham. One of them is called as a Mahakal Dham. This is enveloped in darkness. That means this is in the material world. Because we know that Devi Dham for sure is in the material world. There is no confusion because material world or the mundane world is called as Devi Dham. So Devi Dham is in the material world. Now, above that is the Mahesh Dham. So we also know that as we move higher up, then we'll be going into the spiritual realms. But the interesting part is that this Mahesh Dham is extending both downwards to the material world and then upwards to the spiritual planet, spiritual realm also. So it is like it is there in both. So now one part of it is called as Mahakal Dham, which is enveloped in darkness. So that is the portion that is in the material side, downward. And then there, which is in darkness, contrast that to the other side, which is Sadashiva Loka, which is full of light. And Sadashiva Loka is actually part of the spiritual world or the upward side, so it is on there. So this is like somewhere in between. So down you have Devi Dham and then Mahesh Dham in between and then Hari Dham, and above Hari Dham is Goloka. So Hari Dham and Goloka, all of them are in the spiritual sky, whereas a portion of this Mahesh Dham is also in the spiritual world. I heard one of the senior devotees in ISKCON saying that actually Mahesh Dham exists in both material and spiritual world. So we can understand that by this statement where it is saying that it is enveloped in darkness, because we know the spiritual world does not have darkness, whereas it's a criteria for the material world only. And then there shines this Sadashiv Loka, which is full of great light. So this is there. Then above that appears the Hari Dham or the transcendental Vaikuntha. Now, what Brahmaji is saying is the potency of Devi Dham, that means the energy that is driving Devi Dham, is in the form of an extension of Maya. What do we mean by extension of Maya? Does anybody know?
Extension
Material
of material
world.
world.
Yeah, but extension of Maya. Maya is material world, yes. But is it spiritual or material Maya?
It's both.
Energy from
Both.
spiritual, but it
Both is a
material.
very diplomatic answer. Yeah, somebody, Mataji, you all were saying something.
Energy from Bhagwan, spiritual,
Yeah.
But it is containing of three Rajo, Sattva, Rajo, and Tamas. So it is
Okay.
material.
Okay. So I'll just try to complete this. See, extension of Maya means here they are talking about see, Maya actually is there even in the spiritual world. That means it is not the effect of Maya. The personification of Maya is there. See, there are two types of Maya. Can anybody tell me what are the two types of Maya?
Yoga Maya, Mahamaya.
Exactly. So Yoga Maya's potency exists in the spiritual world, and Mahamaya's potency is in the material world. So that is why they are saying extension of Maya, which means Mahamaya. So is that making sense?
Haribol, yes.
Okay. In the form of the extension of Maya, that means Mahamaya. That is the potency of Devi Dham. So when we talk about Maya, okay, generally when we talk about Maya, we mean the material world and we mean that it is Mahamaya. But now, since we are reading higher things, more deeper things, let us understand that Maya means it is overall. There is also Yoga Maya and Mahamaya. So what is here is a Mahamaya, and Yoga Maya is a different kind of Maya. So there are different types of Maya. So like, how can we relate this with any other example anybody can give? There is one way. In the same way, like we use that word to denote some activities that we do. But then later on, when we have a higher understanding, we talk about, okay, karma. So karma means generally it is viewed as bad, but then it need not be so. Then you have sakama, that means good kama, and then akama, which is sorry, not kama, karma. Sorry, not kama, karma. So in karma also the same thing, no? So karma means, like we generally say, it is used in a negative connotation, but it need not be so when we are learning higher things. So we'll know that it is, it could be any of the karmas, right? So like that, this word also can be, I mean, it's a little more deeper understanding of Maya. So does that make sense? You all are able to relate to that, right? Okay, and then so in the form of extension of Maya, that is the potency of this Devi Dham, which we know. And then Shivaloka consists of what is the potency there? It is in terms of time, space, and matter. So Shivaloka, we are talking about the Mahakal Loka, which is consisting of time, space, and matter. So now when we say consisting of time, space, and matter, means this is material world or spiritual world?
Material.
Why do we say that?
There is no time in spiritual world.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. So the concept of time and space is not there, and there is no matter there. So everything is spiritual. Opposite of matter is spiritual. So in the spiritual world, there is no time, there is no space, and there is no matter in the way we understand it here. Okay. So it consists of time, space, and matter, means it is the material world or the material side of that Dham we are talking about. So where are these potencies coming from? The Maya Shakti or the Mahamaya, and then also the concept of time space, or the potency of the separated particles. So there what do we understand by separated particles? Pervaded by the penumbral reflection of the subjective portion of divinity. So just try to understand this a little bit. So what does separated particles means?
Vinna Shakti.
Sorry, you could be wrong. That's all right.
External.
No, it's not clear. I couldn't hear.
External energy.
External energy, but I heard Jiva Shakti. Jivas. Yeah, separated particles means separated Anu particle. That means Jivas, the souls. So the potency of the separated particles or the Jivas is what is pervading this particular Loka, which is Devi Dham, as well a portion of Shiva Loka. Both of these are pervaded by this separated particles, or the potency of the separated particle, and this the potency of the Jivas are actually because of the penumbral reflection of the subjective portion of divinity. What is that? How do we understand that? What is penumbral reflection? So
We are
is
part and parcel of the Lord. So we are part of the divinity.
yeah, okay, that is correct. Ultimately, just this penumbral reflection means shadow. So this is a word that is used in the shadows, right?
Achintya Bheda Tattva. Being
Yeah,
there
so-
and not being there.
Yeah. Oh, no. Not Achintya Bheda. Let's not go all the way up till there. But I'm just saying penumbral reflection means it is a shadow reflection. We have heard this, right? A perverted reflection, shadow reflection, Urdhva Moolam Adhasakyam. That is how the material world is. So the penumbral reflection of the subjective portion of the divinity. What is divinity here? Whom are we talking about?
Bhagavan Krishna.
Bhagavan Krishna. Subjective portion of the divinity means? What is subjective portion of divinity means? It is the expansion of the Lord. It is the subjective portions or portions of the portions. You remember? These words were used by His Holiness Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj. So, which means that they are all Vishnu Tattvas. So, that particular Vishnu Tattva, which is Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu, or any of those expansions of the Lord, no? So they are actually the penumbral reflection, the shadow reflection. So that means what? There is the potency that is being exhibited by the separated particles are actually not their own potencies, but it is actually the shadow reflection of the potency of the subjective portion of the Lord, or of the Vishnu Tattva, or of we can say here Vishnu, Lord Vishnu. So like this, which we understand. You all know the conclusion, but I'm just trying to read this a little bit so that we are able to understand. See, actually, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj purposely made this a little confusing because he was actually writing to the English speaking people who existed. And he wanted to tell them that this is a very high philosophy, which you will also not be able to understand just like that when you read it like a novel. You need to have somebody to explain to you and then have it understood. So from that perspective, they say like he made it in such a way, and he was a very his vocabulary was excellent. His hold on the English language was so fantastic that he could write in a way that it suddenly it confuses people and all that. Anyway, in those days, people wrote long sentences and all that. Like somebody who's read Shakespeare will realize some long sentences are there, and then actually it will mean something very short. So this is how that was the order of the day those days. And then Bhakti Siddhanta Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada has put it across in this way. So this is one aspect which, if we actually try to understand, then he's talking about the same thing that you all said. I heard one Mataji say that it is actually the potency is all from the Lord only. So we know that. We know the conclusions, but we are just trying to understand what is here in the purport and how it is actually aligning to the Tattva. And there is nothing different that is being told here, though it might look a little confusing, or it might look like we don't know what they are talking about. That kind of a reaction we might have when we first read it. Then, okay, moving forward. But Haridham is ever resplendent with transcendental majesty, and the great splendor of all sweetness predominates over all other majesties in Goloka. So we know that the mellow of sweetness, that is what is predominating in the Goloka Dham. There is nothing else other than that. And even though there are other mellows are there, but the predominating one is the splendor of all sweetness. There is nothing else but that. And then the Supreme Lord Govinda, by his own direct and indirect power, has constituted those respective potencies to those realms. So Brahma is concluding like how everything that we see in the various realms, like Devi Dham or Mahesh Dham, or even in Hari Dham, all the way up to Goloka, everywhere it is the potency of the Lord only. And that is, it could be direct or it could be indirect. The power that has brought about these potencies, it could be directly by him or indirectly by him. By indirect means like expansion of the expansion and all that, even though it is the internal potency of the Lord, but then it could be through another expansion. So like that, direct and indirect, that has been constituted. So the whole takeaway is that, wherever we go, whether it is Mahesh Dham, whether it is Devi Dham, whether it is Hari Dham, or whether it is Goloka, everywhere it is the Lord's energy that has pervaded, but it is pervaded in different ways. In some places it is direct, like the Goloka Dham. In some places it is indirect, like the spiritual planets, the Vaikuntha planets. And in some places it is indirect, but a shadow expansion, which or a shadow representation or a manifestation, which means that like in the material world. So everything is a little topsy-turvy, but then it is eventually only the potency of the Lord. So it is Maya Shakti is also the potency of the Lord. So the Maya Shakti is such that it covers the Lord. So the Lord's energy or the expansion or the potency itself is used to cover the Lord. So so that we don't see the Lord. Now, generally we hear a certain analogy for this. Anybody knows what is the analogy that they give for understanding this? How a potency of the Lord only is covering the Lord. So in that way, there is one analogy in the day-to-day that is being given. Anybody knows that? Is the question clear? Have I come?
The
Smoke
sun and
covered
the rays
the
of
fire.
the sun.
Sorry. One of you at a time.
The sun and the rays of the sun.
And then?
Smoke
It
on
is
the
because
fire.
of the rays of the sun that's so
Yeah.
strong that we are not able to see the sun. Is it that, Prabhuji?
Okay. You are somewhere close, Mataji, but I'll try to explain that. Anybody else wants to try?
I thought of smoke covering the fire. Something like
Gold and the gold particles.
No. Okay, okay, but that's all nice actually. So many relevant analogies are coming out, which Prabhupada uses, which we use in our movement. That's very nice. But here, the potency is the cause for covering is the example of the sun and the cloud. So how is the cloud formed? It is because of the rays of the sun. So the evaporation of water and then a cloud. So if there is no sun, then there won't be any cloud, right? But then what does the cloud do? It covers the sun only. But of course, the sun is not fully covered, but we cannot see. So when we are here down below, then we are not able to see because we are cloud. The cloud is covering the sun. So in this way, the Maya Shakti is the potency of the Lord, but then it is covered. It is covering the Lord himself. So we are not able to perceive the Lord in the various things that we see around us or the things that we do, or we are not able to perceive. So that is Maya Shakti for us. The analogy is the cloud and the sun. So that is what I just wanted to mention. Now, another aspect is that if you look at, I told you that Mahesh Dham is there in the spiritual world as well as in the material world. Now, the spiritual side, who is there in Mahesh Dham? That is, who's there in the spiritual side on the other side?
Sadashiva.
Sadashiva. Yes. So Sadashiv is actually Vishnu Tattva, is an expansion of the Lord. And then from Sadashiva, various Rudras or Shivas come. So now, what is the nature of Shiva with respect to Vishnu? We have seen. Even in the Brahma Samhita itself, we have seen that. Anybody remembers that example, which describes or which tells the difference between Shiva and Vishnu, and also tells how they are related or connected?
The milk and the curd analogy.
Curd, absolutely. Yeah, the milk and the curd example, where curd is Shiva, and then the milk is Vishnu. So from milk, we get curd, but we cannot get back milk from curd again. It is like a irreversible change. That's it. So like that, from Vishnu, Shiva has come. And that's the position. So that's the unique position of Lord Shiva. Now, how he has come from Vishnu means not from Mahavishnu or not from Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu or not from any of the other Vishnus that we know or Shirodaka Sai Vishnu, but he is an expansion, or he has come from Sadashiva, who's another Vishnu Tattva. So, so I think that I think some of you are aware, but if you didn't know, then this is another information that we have here. Okay, and then the most important aspect is that, see, generally there is a lot of confusion. Now we know how guardian of the material world, the Devi Dham, means Durga Devi, and then we also know that Lord Shiva is also present, or he has a very prominent position in this material world, in the Brahmanda, we'll say, or in the Devi Dham, we can say. So now this position, we know that he has got this position where he plays the role of destruction. And now we know that this is for destruction, means then he's like, it's in the mode of Tamoguna. So they also say that he is the Adipati for Tamogun, right? So like where in the mode of goodness, there is, in the mode of passion, there is creation that happens. So Rajogun, which is attributed to Lord Brahma, and then in the mode of goodness, which is attributed to Lord Vishnu, the maintenance happens, and then the destruction happens in the mode of ignorance, so Tamogun, which is attributed to Lord Shiva. Now, sometimes people outside, they quickly jump to the conclusion saying that, oh, that means what you're saying, Lord Shiva is in Tamogun or what? Is that how it is? My question is, does it mean that the Lord is in Tamogun?
No, Prabhu, he's just
no.
large.
He is not in Tamogun. Very right. Thank you, Mother. So it is like the jailer in a jail or a prison house. He is not a culprit. He doesn't have the particular thing, but then he is there in physically present in the jail premises, in the prison house. But he is not a convict or anything like that. So that is how they explain. And then I was just listening to a lecture from one of the senior Vaishnavas in ISKCON. He made a very interesting statement. When this aspect of personality, attributing the personality to the guna was coming up, he made a very nice statement. You know what he said? He said, so we have various ministers. So now what do you think? The ministry for electricity, is he made of electricity? Yes. So no, the minister for electricity is not made of electricity. He is also another human being, but then he is taking care of that particular department, which is involved in the distribution of electricity or whatever. So like that, the person who is supposed to deal with a certain guna doesn't mean that he is in that guna. He is a personality, he is an expansion. So like Sadashiva, who is a Vishnu Tattva, and from there, then Shiva has come, and that personality is playing this role, and then they go about doing the work. Now, same with Durga Devi also. So she is a superintendent of the prison house. Durga means fortress, and Durga Devi is the custodian or the superintendent of the fortress. That is the example that Prabhupada gives. And then he says that she is in charge of the various aspects of that particular prison or Durg, which is the material world. So she goes about her activities. But here it is mentioned that she is not independent. She is actually guided, or she follows the instructions of the Lord. Like how a jailer, just because he is the supreme, within that premises, there is nobody who is higher than him. But that doesn't mean that he can do whatever he wants. No, he is answerable to somebody outside the prison house, right? So he's answerable to somebody there, the ministry, or maybe the PM, president, however, whatever the governance system is there. Same way, there is a governance system here also. And so they follow the instructions, or they just follow the, they follow the instructions of the Supreme Lord. And they go about their activity in that way. And we have seen that with everybody, whoever, whatever portfolio they have, Lord Brahma or Lord Shiva or Durga Devi, all of them. So they are just carrying out. So that is how the demigods carry out the various instructions which are coming from the Supreme Lord. So this is another thing, and they don't act on their own anytime. They just carry out the instructions, and so the point is that they are not independent. they are dependent. So now when big demigods like Durga Devi only are not independent, but what happens with us? We minute spiritual sparks, separated sparks, what we think that we are independent. And then we go about our business in that way, thinking that I can do whatever I want, which is not a very good situation. And that actually leads to more problems for us. But we did not realize that. We kept on doing things the way we wanted to do, thinking that that is how we all have to go about conducting ourselves in this material world. But now, by the grace of Srila Prabhupada, by the grace of our parampara, we are beginning to understand the position, and we are also realizing that position, and we are also realizing the futility of thinking independently, and we are also realizing how we are just one small speck in this huge creation, and we are here because we desired to come here. It is not like we were brought here and forced, and then we were put there. Like a person who is entering the prison house, he might be pushed into the prison house, but that doesn't mean that he was pushed there probably against his will. Okay, that's a different scenario. But what I'm trying to say is, it was not like somebody pushed him there, but he is pushed into the prison house because he earned that prison house sentence for himself by desiring something or by doing something which was forbidden. And that is how then he landed up in the prison house. In the same way, we also desired something which was not in tune with what was supposed to be in the spiritual plane. So because of that desire, we immediately were kind of removed from that society of Vaikuntha planet and then put in this prison house of mundane prison house, which is the Brahmanda, any one of the Brahmanda. So that's how the people are pushed into that. And this is actually the mercy. So it is like the mercy of the government or the mercy of the judge that he punishes the victim, the convict, and at the same time he's giving a chance for that person to reform himself. Likewise, the Lord also is giving an opportunity to fulfill our desires, and then he's also giving an opportunity for us to reform ourselves, to correct ourselves, to get satiated with the desires that we have, and then try to come out of it, and then go back a much more wiser person or a realized person. So in this way, this whole elaborate arrangement of Goloka Namni Nijadhamni Tale Chatasya means Devi Maheshu Hari Damasu. So Devi Maheshu Dams are all put up for that particular reason. And then it is there because of the mercy, like how the government is building prison houses. It doesn't mean that they want people to stay in the prison house. That's a wrong conclusion. That is what some people say. The God created the world for us to remain there and then enjoy. No, that is not why it was. Though we are there and then we are enjoying, but then taking that logic that he created it so that we can remain here and enjoy is not correct. It is like concluding in a prison house saying that the government has built this prison house, so let me stay here and then let me try to enjoy myself. That is a very limited, very not so intelligent conclusion, right? So like that, as separated particles of the Lord, we are also not supposed to get into such conclusion. We will have to take the intelligence from the Shastras and then try to understand the scheme of things the way it is, and try to rise above these such unnecessary comments, and then understand that I am here to not stay and enjoy, but to get out. Like even I know, we have this example of the father. He puts a child to a beautiful school, let us say, the best school in the city or in the country, whatever. So now he puts him there, and then he gives him all facilities. He gives him everything. Now, what is the expectation of that father? Oh, the father is putting the child to the best school, not for the reason that he will remain there, but for the only reason that he will come out of that school in flying colors, right? So now if by chance the child thinks or thinks, thinking that, okay, my father has put me here, let me be here all through, and then just continue to remain there. No, my father has put me here. He will take me out whenever he wants. So that's a very not so intelligent way of concluding, right? So in the same way, the Lord has put us here because we desired, but then there is learning for us, so which we have to learn, and then we have to get out of it. Like how it is intelligence of the child to understand and realize that he has to get out of the school by dint of his hard work, and thereby in the process he gains some knowledge and becomes wise, so that he can go back and then serve his father to the best of his ability or capacity. So in the same way, our understanding also should be like that. I've been put here so for me to get out of this place. And everything about this place, the various types of energy, all that, the source is the Lord only. So there is no duality. I mean, there are no two or multiple gods or anything like that. From Brahma Samhita, from Srimad Bhagavatam, from our scriptures, we can understand that how the oneness of the Supreme Lord is coming out. And then there is also this, the differences also are all there. And then how to comprehend the oneness as well as the differentiated aspect, we know. And then we are beginning to understand that. So this way, this high level view that Brahma is giving here, especially of the physical location of the realms and what is the potency that is there, is what we saw. And then we are also trying to understand why such a scenario was created in the first place. That is because of our desire. And since as conditioned souls we are here, what is our role, what is our job, or what is it that we should aspire for? That also we are seeing now, in the sense that we need to get out of this place and not remain here. But when we are here, then we'll have to follow certain rules and regulations. And when we do it to the best of our ability, then that pleases the Lord. And that's how the whole system is working. So on that note, I think we can conclude here and we can take some questions if there is any. So this is for how Lord Brahma is seeing how he's attributing everything to the Lord, which is the correct understanding. Attributing everything to the fountainhead of all things that are there, in terms of potencies, in terms of energies, in terms of desires, everything that we see, it is all stemming from the Lord, and then it is all coming down from the Lord. So, as we understand the scriptures more and more, we realize that our Sanatana Dharma is not a polytheistic kind of a religion, because generally people conclude that way, because we have so many gods. So we ourselves used to think that way, right? Oh, we have many gods, whereas other religion, they have only one God. The universality of the Lord is diluted in Hinduism, they say. But actually, okay, that might appear like that at the first glance. But then if we go dwell deeper into the subject, we try to understand what the scriptures are saying, what the acharyas are saying, then we realize that there is no such concept, because the aspect of the supreme, the oneness of the Lord is still there. So we are also monotheistic kind of a religion, or a kind of a dharma that we are following. So I see that Shobha Mataji has raised the hand. So Mataji, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. This is
Hare
actually a doubt which we had in all other session also. See, one statement you told that we wish to come here to the material world, so we have been pushed down. In Brahmaloka also, we have all the devatas and other demigods with all goodness, right? Will they come down to this material world to reach the lotus feet of Bhagavan, or they will go directly from there? I'm just confused about it.
Yeah. So that's a good question, Mataji. So what happens is both will happen. See, for people who are in the Brahmaloka and upwards, I mean, there is nothing upward, I think. But anyway, from Brahmaloka, that is people who are with Brahma, they straight away, when the pralaya happens, they just sit and then meditate, and then they go, they transform themselves into the spiritual planet. So they don't have to take another birth. Whereas there are other demigods or beings. There are many beings, Kim Purushas, Yakshas, so many are there. So for us, they are also like higher beings only. But they will not follow this kind of a path. They will have to take a birth in the material world, and then they will have to elevate themselves and then go. The same thing is possible even in their respective dhams where they are staying. But what happens is, or lokas where they are staying. But what happens is the sense gratification, the enjoyment is so much that it is not possible to do. It is like trying to study in a cinema hall or something like that. There's so much of disturbance, so much of this thing activity happening that you will not be able to concentrate. So like that, they'll not be able to chant, or they'll not be able to remember the Lord in the way that they have to remember, even though they know that theoretically I have to do this, but it is not possible for them because it is all 10 times. So it is like, it becomes difficult. So they prefer to come. That's what Prabhupada says. So many of the higher planetary system people want to take advantage of this Hare Krishna movement. So they come down and then they take birth here, and then they perfect their lives by doing the devotion, the sadhana, and then they go back home to Godhead. So this becomes a route. Like sometimes, like IIT or some very serious students, they feel I can't study at home, so let me move to a room and where I'll be alone and I can study and then I can clear. No, I'm just giving a crude example to relate the two. So like that. So that happens. Whereas there are other people who are already, they don't have to go through this. They are just playing that role, especially Brahma and then the very senior demigods, So they they have the potency to elevate themselves to the spiritual planets after their work is completed, which means that after the pralaya, or just when the pralaya is starting, they realize and then they go back. I hope that answers.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
So any other questions or any comments anybody has on what we discussed or what we saw? Was there some clarity or did it become more confusing? Or what is it like?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thanks.
Hare Krishna.
Wonderful, very elaborate class, Prabhu. Prabhu, this penumbra, should we take it as we are very anu like that? Penumbra, does it mean?
See, penumbra is actually shadow.
Yes,
Google,
shadow. Lighter
umbra
shadow.
and penumbra are two types of shadows. So,
Yes.
so it is so shadow. We can say as shadow reflection.
Like umbra is a dark shadow. Penumbra
Yeah,
is
so we can say light shadow. So because
light
we
shadow.
don't have the full potency, it is a reflection, but then it is a shadow reflection. And even in that shadow, it is not dark, it is light, which means that the potency is not like that. So in every way, we are less.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu.
Then and this word subjective portion of divinity, we have been seeing this quite often in Brahma Samhita. So, which is the expansion of the divinity or Krishna. Subjective portion. And separated portions are as marginal energies. Both are internal potency of the Lord. We are also internal potency of the Lord. It is just that we are separated. And because of that, we are anu, minute, so we can get contaminated. Okay, so this kind of concludes today's session. If there aren't any comments, then I think there's another 5 minutes there, so we can end the session, or what is it like? Generally, what happens when the session finishes early? I don't know. You can tell me.
They used to recite the sloka last week and all. They recited the Brahma Samhita slokas one day.
Okay. So, do you want to do that now?
Your wish, Prabhuji. Haribol, it was a very nice session. Thank you.
So, from where? From 1 onwards, the entire Brahma Samhita, is it?
No, it was decided
not
from 29.
From 29, which we generally recite. So, I should just get that up. Is that what you're saying? 1 second, I'll try to bring that up. From 29. So, do you all do it together? Or, okay, each one is reading one.
Or something.
Okay.
You can start, Prabhuji.
We can start. I'll start and then others can follow also. But we'll start with this thing. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadiradar Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam Chintamani Prakara Sadma Shukalpa Vriksha Lakshadeshu Surabhira Vipalayantam Lakshmi Sahasra Satasambhrama Sevyamam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Then continue. Shobha Mataji, do you want to continue?
I'll read this one sloka, Prabhuji, if other devotees are.
Go ahead.
Venum Kvanantam Aravinda Dhalaya Daksham Sundarangam Kantarpakoti Kamaniya Visesha Shobham Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami.
Who else? Sudha Mataji?
Yes, Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Alola Chanda Kalasadvanamalya Vamshi Ratnangadam Pranayakel Kalavilasam Shamam Tribhangalalitam Niyata Prakasham Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami.
Continue.
Angani yasya sakalendriya vrittimanti Pashyanti kalayanti chiram jaganti Anandachinmaya sadujjvala vigrahasya Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Advaitamachyutamanadimanantarupam Adyam Purusham Navayauvanam
Vedeshu durlabham adurlabham atmabhaktau Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami.
Krishnamurti Prabhu, you can try the next three.
Okay, Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Pantastu koti shatavapsara sampragamyo Vayo rathapi manasi muni pungavanam Yopyasti yatra dasam nisya vichincha tattve Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Ye kopyasau rachayitum jagadanda kotim Yachaktirasti jagadanda chaya yadantaha Andantarasta paramanu chayantarastam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Yadbhava bhavita dhiyo manujastataiva Samprapya rupam ahimasanayana pushaha Suktairhadimeva nigama prathitaistuvanti Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yeah, thank you. Rohini Mataji, you want to do? Anand.
आनंद चिन्मय रस प्रतिभाविताभिस् ताभिर्य एव निज रूपतया कलाभिः गोलोक एव निवसत्य अखिलात्मभूतो गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि प्रेमाञ्जनचुरित भक्ति विलोचनेन सन्तः सदैव हृदयेषु विलोकयन्ति यं श्यामसुन्दरमचिन्त्य गुणस्वरूपम् गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि रामादिमूर्तिः कलानियमेन तिष्ठन् नानावतारमकरोतु गणेषु किन्तु कृष्णः स्वयं समभवत् परमः पुमानयो गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि.
Who else? Anybody else wants to do?
Yasya prabha prabhavato jagat kotisvasesha vasudhati vibhuti bhinnam tad brahma nishkalam anantam asesha bhutam गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि
माया
माया हि यस्य जगत् अण्डष्टानि सूते त्रैगुण्यतत्विषय वेदविधायमाना सत्त्वाबलं विपरसत्त्वविशुद्धसत्त्वं गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि. Rohini Mataji, will you continue?
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Ananda Chinmaya Rasatmata Manasu Yapraninaam Gati Paratam Upetya Leelayate Bhuvanani Jayat Ajasram Govindamadipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Golokanamni Nijadhamni Kalecha Tasya Devi Mahesha Haridhama Suteshu Teshu Te Te Prabhavani Chaya Vinitaschayena Govindamadipurusham Tamaham Bhajami.
Srishti Sthiti Pralaya Sadhana. Yeah, go ahead.
Srishti Sthiti Pralaya Sadhana Shaktir Eka Chayeva Yasya Bhuvanani Vibhati Durga Ichhanurupamapi Yasya Sa Govindamadipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Sudha Mataji,
Kshiram yata dadi vikara vishesha yogat sanjayate nahi tata pratagasti heto yam shamvutamapi tata samupaiti karya Govindamadipurusham tamaham bhajami. Deepachire
Vahitashantaramabhyupetya Deepayate Vivrutahetu Samanadharma Yasadrige Vahishnutaya Vibhati Govindamadipurusham tamaham bhajami. Is it difficult?
usually
Yeah.
Prabhuji, usually we only do it till where we have
How much we have done.
Oh, okay, fine. So up to this we did. But we have come up to 47 now, no? Okay, you want to continue or we'll stop here? Yakarnarnave jale bhajati yoga nitram anantam jagadantasaromarupaha adhara shaktim avalambyam param svamurtim govindamadipurusham tamaham bhajami yasyaika nishvasita kalamadhavalambya jivanti loma vilaja jagadantanataha Vishnur Mahansa iha yasya kala vishesho Govindamadipurusham tamaham bhajami Aswam yathasma sakaleshu nijeshu tejaha Sviyam kiyat prakatyati apitadvadatra Brahmaya isha jagadanda vidana karta Govindamadipurusham tamaham bhajami Yatpada pallava yugam vinidhaya kumbha Vande pranama samaye saganadirajaha Vijnanamalamasya jagadvandasya Govindamadipurusham tamaham bhajami Asnirmahi gaganamambu marudishasya Kalastathatma manasiti jagatrayani Yasmat bhavanti vibhavanti vishnuriyamcha Yamcha govindamadipurusham tamaham bhajami
How much they got ready donation?
Isha savita sakala grahana राजा समस्तसुरमूर्तदशेषतेजः यज्ञाय भ्रामति संवृतकालचन्द्रो गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि धर्मोतपापनिचयश्रुतयस्तपांसि ब्रह्मादिकीटपतगावदयश्च जीवः यद्दत्तमात्रविभवः प्रकटप्रभाव गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि यस्त्वेन्द्रगोपं मतवेन्द्रमहोस्वाकर्मा बन्धानुरूपफलभाजनमातनोति कर्माणि निर्दहति किन्तु च वाग्दिवाजं गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि यं क्रोधकामसहजं प्राणायादिभीति वात्सल्यमोहगुरुगौरवसेव्यभावै सञ्चिन्त्य तस्य सदृशं तन्माहुरेते गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं भजामि श्रियकान्ता कान्त परमा पुरुषा कल्पतरवो रुमा भूमिश्चिन्तामणि गानमयी तोयममर्तम् कथा गानं नाट्यं गमनमपि वंशी प्रियसखी चिदानन्दं ज्योतिपरम् अपि तदस्वाद्यमपि च स यात्र क्षीराभिर्षवति सुरविभ्यास्य सुमहान् निमेषार्धक्यो वा भुजति नहि यत्रापि समय श्वेतद्वीपं तम् अहम् इहागोलोकमिदीयम् विदन्तस्ते सन्तश्रुति विरालचराः कतिपये
गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं भजामि
Brahma Samhita ki jai. Thank you so much,
Dandavat
devotees, once
pranams,
again.
Prabhuji. Haribol.
We will
Thank
end
you
the
so
session
much.
now. Hare
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam. Wonderful session, Prabhuji.
Dandavat pranams
Hare
to all
Krishna.
of you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. So I'll end the session for everybody.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.